Okay, this is continuing on with the nervous system. This is functions or functional anatomy of the brain, and this is specifically the cerebrum. So the first thing to know is the cerebrum is the largest part of the human brain. It's involved with memory, attention, awareness, thought, and consciousness. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you what makes up the cerebrum and then the breakdown. So again, pardon the rough drawing. Okay, so we have the frontal lobe, and it kind of shears. Oops. We have the parietal lobe. We have the occipital. And we have the temporal. And we'll start with the frontal lobe. And it is in charge of reasoning, planning, and there's two parts of this brain, or of the brain, that are part of movement, but he did put down that he wants us to know that the frontal lobe is the primary. Mover. It's also in charge of our emotions and problem solving. We have the parietal lobe, and this is in charge of perception, also movement, but for the test, if he does ask which part is contributing to movement, this would be secondary. Orientation, and recognition. The occipital lobe is only in charge of the visual process. This is why if someone gets smacked in the back of the head really hard, they can have deficits in their vision. Moving on to the temporal lobe, it is in charge of auditory perception, memory, and speech. And then moving on, this is what makes up like the different lobes, the four major lobes. Within that, he also asked for the Broca's speech area, which kind of goes like this. So we have the Broca's, and they call it, the actual term is the Broca's motor speech area. And when this is damaged, oh, also this is only on the left side or left hemisphere. Only in left hemisphere. Whenever this is damaged, it's called Broca's aphasia. And what that is we talked a little bit about it in class, but kind of the layman's term, I don't think it's an actual technical or medical term, is word salad. And if you get people that have a damaged Broca's area, they can still understand what you're saying. They just can't find words to say what they want. So they're unable to put sentences together. If you ask them, if you have a patient like in one of your clinicals that has this, if you ask them how their knee is doing, they'll just start pulling out random words. They might be able to pick some words. So if you say, how's your knee or feeling, they might go, oh, my knee, and wait for a while, and then pain, and then nothing, and then they'll change topics. They'll be like chair, and they'll move on to just random words. Sometimes it's not so spaced out. They might be able to put together an entire sentence, and they'll have the perfect influx when it's a question or a pause. So sometimes they can put the structure together, but again, the words are just a mix. It doesn't make any sense. So hopefully that helped you on that part. He also asked, coming down one time, the cerebral cortex. When we talk about the cerebral cortex, it's pretty much everything, but it's the gray folds that we get to increase the surface area of the brain. It's not the actual folds themselves, but it's the gray matter that makes up the top layer of the brain. That is so this whole kind of section is the cerebral cortex. And then one last thing he asked about the corpus callosum, and real fast. So if this is your brain, you have all your different hemispheres, and so we have our brain. Corpus callosum is what connects the two hemispheres together. And if you were to cut a brain in half, you kind of get a figure that looks like this. So this whole thing is the corpus callosum. And it connects the hemispheres. And there's a bunch of connections throughout it, but just know that it's the corpus callosum connects the hemispheres. So that's it for the brain. One last thing, I guess, that was a side note I had made, is with the cerebral cortex, it receives information. And it's what we process. It's everything that we are is the cerebral cortex. It encompasses all of this, but it's what receives the information from what we see and feel and then gets processed. So again, hope that helped you guys out with the anatomy of the cerebrum. And if you have any questions, just let me know.